Hey, welcome in to A Cup of Hoops, episode 10, powered by Synergy. Man, episode 10, Blue, we're rolling.
Had
Synergy,
a couple good weeks off though. I think we all needed it.
absolutely. Hope you all had a very Merry Christmas and a wonderful start to the 2024 year. But this is basketball. This is A Cup of Hoops. We're going to be talking basketball. Things to look out for. The top 25 rankings are coming out soon. We just had a conversation about those this morning, kind of wrapping those up. The GASO Fast Break is still humming along. We're doing, now that we're shifting into district season, it's going to be a lot of team stuff, player stuff, but the games are not accessible as tournament season. So we're going to be talking more storylines. It'll be really good. Really excited about it.
But we'll also be jumping on our networks of Texan Live and National Federation High School Television. So there's plenty of basketball still be seen. We'll still be pounding out as much as we can per week.
And of course, Synergy, Blue.
Oh
The
gosh,
power of the
yeah.
show. And then Recruiting Simplified newsletter. Check it out. Building a nice subscriber list over there. I'm giving out a lot of free information about recruiting, and we're going to hit on that here in a second. So make sure you're following us on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, at GASO Mass, at GASO Blue, at iFilm Hoopers, GASO Linden, or at Texas Hoops. GASO channel that just spits out news, offers, scores, so on and so forth. The Recruiting Simplified question of the week, Blue. What should underclassmen be doing to improve their recruitment? I'm going to set this question up before we actually dive in on our answers, but it's really easy to focus on the seniors right now because it feels the most urgent. But there are 3 high school classes below the seniors that are eager to be recruited. And I've been getting this question actually a bunch in my DMs. What can underclassmen do to be more proactive, in their recruitment?
And that you stole my word. Be proactive. You're here as a freshman, a sophomore, or even as a junior. Your time is coming. Some have to be more patient than others, but that's okay. We have to be able to be, proactive. So what do you need to be proactive of? Well, you can start learning the system now of what you're going to be doing in a year or two. And how do you do that? Oh, why don't you go ahead and just sign up for the Recruiting Simplified newsletter? You can find it at GASO Mass. But what you need is the knowledge of what's going on with FAFSA. Get ready. Just know those types of things that are down the line. Also, being proactive right now as an underclassman is playing basketball as best to your ability. Don't just focus on the things that you're good at. Improve on those things that you need to be better at, whether it's rebounding, defense. Just there's all types of things on the court that you can control. Maybe sometimes you can't control that ball going to the hoop, but you can. I've said in the past, you can control your defense, your speed, your rebounding ability, how much you talk, your leadership role. Those are the kind of things you work on now.
Yeah, and I'll step in here to add grades. You're not going to build Rome in a day, and you can certainly hurt yourself and knock yourself out of the running if you have a bad semester with grades. If you're having great semesters, it unlocks opportunities. Blue and I found a stat that essentially said if you have above a 3.0, 51, you are probably eligible to go to 51% of schools. If it's a 3.5, it hops into 70%. If you're a 4.0, it's 94%. And those last 6% are basically based on your SAT and ACT scores. And that's like the elite of the elite schools. So grades really unlock opportunities here. And that cannot be overstated. Also, working on your translatable skills. Shooting is a timeless skill. Creating space is a timeless skill. These things really, really matter. So I would focus on that. All right, Blue, I got a rankings question for you. This really popped out in my mind when I was watching the Colony play at Newman Smith yesterday, and I was like, man, I need a Texas basketball historian to answer this question. But I was watching the Colony, and they have 3 phenomenal sophomores.
Yeah.
And I was just like, has the GASO ever had three dudes from the same team inside the top 30, the top 25, the top 20. I don't know how exactly they're going to fall, but those three are really, really,
Yeah.
really good.
Speaking over with Sam Lowe, it's easy to just go back a couple years ago and say, with Rylan Griffin and Cason Wallace, two top tens last year. That was 2022. So in 2023, Ronald Holland at number one, and KJ Lewis around three or four. So you get into multiples of two. This is nothing new as you oppose the question of the Colony, because the Colony had Bracy Wright at number two and Darren Williams at number three back in 2002. So getting the two in the top 10 or top 25, yeah, that comes across. It's rare, but it does happen. Here's one for you though, Mass. In 2001, TJ Ford number one, Daniel Ewing number three, Kenny Taylor number nine from Willow Ridge. Now, if you recall, that team probably went, I think, 73-1 or 74-1
Wow.
in 2 years.
I don't recall that. I was like 10.
Well, okay. I'm a little
I did
older
watch
than
TJ Ford at Texas, though, and lead them to a
you.
Final Four.
Oh, I saw that up close and personal from the bench when I was at SFA as a manager. But that gets us off into something else. Most recently in 2009, you had Roger Franklin, Sean Williams, who was number one. He was the head coach at Rock Hill. So you had Sean Williams at number one for Duncanville. Roger Franklin was in the top 10. And then I believe Roger Dowell was also in the top 10. I think those three from 2009 were all top 10. So getting to, I know you're asking the 30, top 25, top 20. That's a little bit more of a history lesson because, I mean, that doesn't happen. That happened in a 10 years, 9 year span of Willow Ridge and in Duncanville. Now, we have had this discussion about the Colony, though. Where will Xavier Green, Dakari Spear, and Bryce Dixon, where are they going to land? I think that we have different viewpoints because we've seen different games of them. We're going to send in the hardballer of Sam Lowe to go watch them also. I think Timmons might have caught some glimpses. So when you're looking at this 2026 group in a whole, it's starting to get real, starting to get heavy. It's starting to get deep. Our conversations are getting deep. And the Colony as a team, man, they're going to be fun to watch over the next couple of years. We have seen the trend of how sophomore teams, built teams, they need a little bit of time.
Yeah, they're dangerous, though. It's not going to shock me if we look up and they're making a run. With those special guards, it just seems possible. In lieu of the rankings talk, we've been hard and heavy talking about the 2026. Who are some of your favorites?
Most recently, watching Austin Gooseby of Melissa. You're talking about a guy that's just being able to that you and I sat down together to watch him, and right away his passing ability, his ability to see the floor to get his other teammates involved. I mean, he really is a leader. He's got the pedigree that you always like to talk about. There's so many little tools that he uses out there, whether it's the passing ability, the ability to knock down the shots, pull up jumpers. He does everything out there, and I think that he's kind of figuring it out right now. Though still, you can kind of see the way he handles the ball. He's a little upright. But once he starts getting downhill and get into a groove out there on the basketball court, I mean, he's just one of the top players just all around.
Yeah, I agree. I'll hop in and talk about Carter Chisholm. I got to watch Mount Pleasant for a game and a half. Anytime I'm in Dallas and a team from out of Dallas comes in, I make a point to try and make it happen. And they were at the In-N-Out. Carter's a really, really talented 26, really shoots the ball at a high level. He shot the ball from three, I think, at 40% for the Allen In-N-Out tournament. And he just, Mount Pleasant, if you watch them, they just get after it in general. So that's a fun little combination. Defense and shot making, you got to love it.
Yeah, Trayvon Clark from San Antonio Wagner. I mean, you talk about another young team. They've won about 13 or 14 games this year. He did miss. Trayvon did miss 6 games due to an ankle injury, and the team did go 4-2 in his absence. But he's still a strong presence out there for his team. That they need his 10 points and 6 rebounds a game, and you can kind of see how he has grown from last year. I thought maybe he at one point was he was just so much better than everybody else that I didn't want to see that plateau. I didn't want to see that flat line, but it's not there. He's trending up. I think he's got a great mid-range game. He's got so much a great face-up game to be able to see the basket, put it on the floor. Mid-post game is really what he's going to, I think, excel at in the future, just because he's got such a great mid-range game, and we don't really see a lot of pure mid-range type players.
Yeah, and that's a young team that, again, it's dangerous. I'll just use that word. That like things break right and they start getting going. Oh man, look out! I'm gonna go with Aziz Olajuwon, and our next section on the show is called "Don't Be Sleeping," and it's basically players that don't get notoriety, as much notoriety as they should. And we're talking about the class of 2024 in that one, but he could have easily been in this. Uh, Aziz is a 6'5" shooting guard who rebounds the basketball. And I just sent Blue Aziz Olajuwon and then a heart because I was like, this kid, oh my God, I love him. He's starting to fill out. Yeah. It's,
I don't know if it's there.
it's not working. Yeah, I love this kid, and he shoots the ball really well. He's still developing. It's really good for him to have a divine right next to him, making plays for him, and him being able to catch and shoot. But he impacts the game in other ways. And Aziz is, I don't know where he's going to land, but it's a kid that's not being talked about that is a high level prospect.
The thing about him, yes, he doesn't have the 6'8", I'm sorry, the 6'10" height that his dad had, Akeem Olajuwon.
Yeah, I didn't talk about the pedigree of the last name.
Yeah.
Thank you, Blue.
But he's sitting there at 6'4", 6'5", these rounded shoulders, there's the broad, like it's one thing when you're a shooting guard and you just sit there and you catch and shoot. I mean, that's, you know what, sometimes that's just kind of boring. Show me something more. This dude, as soon as the ball goes up, he's headed to the basket with the instinct of like the feel and the ability just to kind of Inspector Gadget arms and just being able to grab it, pull it in, and get it up court. He knows his role. It'll grow once. We'll talk about his teammates later. Devani Gochukwu graduates, but there's a step-by-step process here that is not being accelerated, which is nice. It's being developed.
Yeah, and he's under the radar. Like
I don't even know how
2026 are getting a lot of notoriety, and I have not come across a lot of Aziz Olajuwon, which we should see a lot of it. Moving into our next segment, don't be sleeping. These are players from the class of 2024 who have not gotten the most notoriety, but are really, really good players. And I'm gonna tip this one off with JoJo Moore. Yes, I understand he is committed to Siena University. Unbelievable land for Siena because this kid is big time. I think he is probably the least talked about in the top 20. I don't know exactly where we have him, maybe 15, 16, 17, something like that. But JoJo is really, really good. Dribble, pass, shoot. He creates space off the bounce. He makes plays for others, and he can just go get a bucket really anytime he wants. And he's like legit 6'4". It was fun watching Rouse, and that's another team that's just kind of lurking in the rankings, not getting tons of flooded media attention. But it's a team that's going to be a really tough out, and it's led by one of the best players in the state, one of the best seniors in the state.
And they're top 10 in the state, and they've gone out and had to play Stony Point twice, which they've lost to in two separate championship games. And Leander Rouse came up to the basketball championship tournament, and there's no easy ones in their schedule. Now they're going to sit back in district, and hopefully, they'll show us their top 10, their why they are a top 10 team. But also, you said that he's not slept on because he is signed. However, signed guys can also be those that we forget about just because but man, that's a guy that his body's getting bigger. He's getting stronger. He's probably even more athletic than he has been in the past. And he's playing a very controlled game that he understands, not just flying around just trying to make a play. He's doing it with a purpose and with a strategy. Jumping in here, I'll go with Devani Gochukwu. I just talked about Aziz Olajuwon, but Devani Gochukwu, he's going to be one of the sought after guards here as we kind of go down the next 6 to 8 weeks here. They're not 19-0 at Fort Bend Clements without Devani Gochukwu. You can ask head coach Van Price that. And the things that we might say that Divine can't do, that's okay because he's so good at what he does at the high school level to be able to get to the basket uh, easily, to go get a steal, to go hit the gaps, to go make transition buckets. But this is he's benefiting from a Z in 6'10" Joshua Clark that can play inside out. This he is just showing that his leadership and his in that what he can do as a guard is leading to wins, and that translates.
Yeah, Fort Bend Clements 19-0. They really execute. Really enjoyed watching them at Round Rock last weekend. I'll hop in here. Jacob Stewart, San Antonio East Central. This is a player who's unsigned, who knows how to score. I watched him have 28 and like 37 at the Allen Invitational. The 37-point game was kind of my game off, but I was still in the hospitality watching. And during the first half, all I could hear, Jacob Stewart. So I kind of would go peek my head in there, and he'd go make another play. And in the game I did watch of him, he just knows how to score. There's kids that just have a knack for putting the ball in the bucket, and he is one of them. San Antonio East Central playing really, really good basketball right now. Competitive. And Jacob Stewart is a big reason why. He needs to be recruited.
Yeah, and then there's R.J. Mitchell from Arlington Martin. I was trying to look through some notes here to see. I can't recall who I saw them beat in the second round, but R.J. Mitchell was 6'4", 6'5", a long, rangy wing that can kind of just do it all. You saw him previously. You know, he's out there hitting mid-range jumpers, the three-pointer. He's getting the basket. You know, he's scoring from all three levels, but he's also defending. He's also grabbing rebounds. He's doing all of these things that just make you kind of like just stare him down and go, wow, this is not what I've seen in the past. He's just starting to continue to get better.
Yeah, and Arlington Martin's really hitting their stride. Good time to do so. That's going to wrap up this edition of A Cup of Hoops. Thanks for joining, Blue and I, and we will see you next time.